Do viewers of live streams want a monopoly? Do content creators want a monopoly in their streaming platforms? Let's talk about it. Welcome to Music Free Tech, a podcast all about technology, streaming, and all sorts of other fun stuff. I'm your host, Randall, and let's dive into a little bit of the controversy that Twitch has managed to step themselves into, and whether viewers and streamers actually would rather have a monopoly. So, let's set the stage here, okay? Twitch recently announced that they were opting every one of their streamers into collection of their streams to train for AI, okay? Basically, they're going to take all of their streams, feed them into AI, and then Amazon is going to do some thing, I guess, with them, okay? Now, they did add an opt-out switch, okay, which, they made the announcement, we're doing this, here's how you opt out, and they opted out on stream, okay? And Mike Minty, during the announcement, says, you know what? Everyone's asking why this is opt-in, or why this is opt-out rather than opt-in. It says because it was opt-in, nobody would opt-in, okay? And he's not wrong, okay? But as messed up as this whole situation is, at least they give you an option to opt out, right? But as messed up as that situation is, there's been some interesting things coming out of it. So I've spent a lot of time in the Mix It Up Discord. Mix It Up, of course, is a bot for streamers. Very excellent one. I highly recommend it. And there are a lot of Twitch streamers who are coming in and saying, you know what? Do you support? And they just list off a bunch of different platforms depending on where they're coming from. Okay, whether it's news sites like Valora or something like, was it Stream.place or something? I think that's the one with that's backed by the protocol that backends Blue Sky, right? And they're just throwing in all of these different platforms that some I've never heard of. Some it's like, oh yeah, whatever. Yep, I've definitely heard of that one, right? But there's a lot of interest in getting off of Twitch. But this got me thinking, and this is what led me to the thought that I started the podcast with, is do stream viewers want do they want a monopoly? Okay. Now, the knee-jerk reaction is no, of course not. They don't want a monopoly. But if you look at user patterns, they might, okay? See, the problem you have is users tend to be lazy, okay? And I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way, okay? I know there are negative connotations about that, but basically they tend to go to a platform and they just want to watch what's on that platform. So they go to Twitch and they may watch their favorite streamers on Twitch, but if one of them goes to YouTube, for example, they may not see their streams. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot so-and-so's over on YouTube, because they're over on Twitch watching, everybody else, right? And they don't necessarily want to be hunting around for their favorite streamer, right? Now, obviously, it's their favorite streamer, they know where it is. But so let's take an example. I'm big into Minecraft, so let's look at Hermitcraft for a minute, okay? Most of the hermits, when they stream on Twitch, okay? So if you want to watch Good Times with Scar, or Green is streaming now, Impulse or Tango Tech or Plus Moon, right? They're all streaming over on Twitch. But there are a couple, Zedaf, for example, Mumbo, they stream on YouTube. Now, they don't stream as regularly, but still, they're over on YouTube. If you want to go watch their streams or get notified of when their streams are happening, all that stuff, you have to be on YouTube and not on Twitch. For some people, that's not a big deal. But for a lot of people, especially if you're just a casual viewer, right, where it's like, yes, I want to watch stuff, but I'm just going to watch whatever's on Twitch. That is very much a mentality of, yeah, I kind of just want a monopoly. I want all of my streamers to be in the same place, right? They don't want to have to go to Twitch for streamer X and YouTube for streamer Y and Kick for streamer Z and Valora for streamer Alpha, whatever, right? They don't want to deal with that. They want to just be there. On the other side of it, do creators want a monopoly when it comes to streaming platforms? Now, again, the answer to that is almost always no. But, okay, and this is where things get interesting. So we were chatting about this a little bit in the Mix It Up Discord, and yeah, we're talking about, look, there are a lot of people coming in asking for new platforms. Does Mix It Up support this? Does Mix It Up support that? Right? And because of all this, like, yeah, here's the latest screw up by Twitch. They're looking to go somewhere else. And the comment was, yeah, and then they'll go back because Twitch is a monopoly. Okay. Well, Twitch isn't a monopoly, but I understand the sentiment. The idea that this is where people go to watch gaming streams, okay? Yeah, there's lots of other stuff happening on Twitch, okay? But if you want to watch gaming, the default answer for that is you go to Twitch, or at least it has been. Okay. Now, we'll get into that, but that's the thought that goes through a creator's mind, right? Does a creator want to actually have to multi-stream? I think the answer to that is typically no. Most streamers would rather, given the option, just stream to a single platform. It's a lot simpler. There are fewer problems, technically easier to deal with, practically easier to deal with, because you're only tracking one platform, its features, its chat, its stuff, and not 3 or 4 others. Okay. And I can tell you, because I multi-stream, it can get a little hairy trying to get everything, or making sure everything is working across all of the places you're streaming. Okay. Right now, I stream to 4, 5-ish platforms. Okay. So YouTube is my main platform. I also stream to, I use beamstream.gg to multi-stream. So that's, Beam is also technically a streaming platform because you can watch streams, comment, do all that stuff there. So technically that's 2. I also stream to Twitch, I stream to Kick, and I stream to Valora. Okay. And I'll tell you, trying to keep track of all of that, make sure am I seeing chat from everything, is everything working? I had a day where Beam's Unichat system, which brings in chat from everything into one window, wasn't working correctly, so I was ignoring it, and I missed the CEO of Beam jumping into my chat to say hi. Right? Why? Because it wasn't showing me my comments from YouTube. Well, I kind of needed to see what was coming in from YouTube chat because that's where my main audience is. So, yeah, that's a problem. Most creators, given the option, would rather stream to a single platform. I think just in general, all things being equal, they'd rather go to one place. But, as we've seen recently, creators have to diversify. And we're going to get how this affects our viewers here in a minute, but let's talk about creator diversification on stream platforms for a minute. Because the reality is your platforms are going to do things you don't like. Or another platform is going to come up and do something that's amazing. Okay, for one reason or another, right? So we've just talked about Twitch and their AI controversy. Kick has been making waves for a couple of reasons. One, they offer a much, much better payout split than everybody else. Okay, well, by default, Twitch's payouts of subscriptions and ad revenue and everything is 50%. Streamer gets half, Twitch gets half, and I think if there's a fraction that rounds up, it goes to Twitch. Okay, but that's how that splits out. YouTube, by default, is a 70-30 split after any transaction fees. Okay, better, right? That's lovely. Ad revenue splits a little differently, but memberships, super chats, all that stuff, it's a 70-30 split. Again, a much better split than what you would be getting from Twitch. Kick, it has a 95-5 split, where Kick gets 5% and the streamer gets 95%. Right? You see why a lot of people might want to stream on Kick, right? Now, Kick has other issues, okay? It was, most of them surrounding the types of streamers they've been encouraging to come onto the platform. It's been a little bit messy, okay? And I've talked about that at length on the Music Free Static podcast, okay? But it's definitely a concern, right? So, what is a creator to do? Well, if you multi-stream, you go to where your viewers are, okay? Which is good, I guess, right? Because really what a creator wants is they want people to watch their content, okay? When I'm streaming, I want people to be there watching stream, chatting, having fun, being part of that experience, okay? That's why I like to stream. I like that back and forth. I like that interaction. It's fun. And that's why I like to watch streams, because of that interaction and all of that fun stuff, okay? Sometimes I don't interact. Most of the time I don't interact because I'll throw a stream up in the background while I'm at work. But the fact that the streamer is interacting with chat still makes it more fun to watch a stream. Well, said a creator wants viewers. Well, with all of the chaos that's been happening amongst streaming platforms, what do? And as a creator, you basically end up multi-streaming. Because sure, there are some people who are still on Twitch. And there are some people who will follow you to Kick or to YouTube, but you're going to lose some viewers, okay? Yeah, that happened to me. I remember I was streaming to Twitch, and I moved to Mixer, because Mixer was where all the growth was going. It was a much more interesting platform to stream on. There were a lot more features for viewer engagement and interaction, all sorts of stuff that Twitch didn't have. And I was booming on Mixer for me. Okay, not to say I was ever any sort of big deal. Definitely wasn't. But I was seeing a lot better viewership and engagement and stuff on Mixer. And I moved to Mixer. Some of my viewers didn't come. Right? It happens, right? Because they didn't want to leave Twitch. I had the same thing. I went back to Twitch when Mixer shut down. And I had been multi-streaming prior to this. I went to Twitch. Twitch was giving me issues. And they were doing the same sort of thing. Again, they were making some choices that I thought were fairly anti-creator. And actually anti-viewer in a lot of ways. And I said, you know what? YouTube's been my home. I love YouTube. Let's just go back to YouTube. I had viewers that didn't follow me to YouTube, right? So multi-streaming has to be part of a creator's playbook, because that's the only way you can reach your viewers, because the viewers don't move, right? Viewers want a monopoly. They want to go to one place and see all of their streamers, right? Now, maybe there's a platform out there that's like, okay, if you go here, right, we'll let you know, hey, your streamer came up on Twitch, you can still watch it here because Twitch does embeds. Same with YouTube. Maybe, but no, really, the reality is the viewers don't want to do that. They just want to be on Twitch or on YouTube or on Kick or wherever and just watch the streamers that are over there. And that is, I don't want to say it's a problem, okay? It's definitely a challenge. As a content creator, what are you going to do, right? And again, this ends up, you go back to multi-streaming. And now it's, again, you're dealing with all sorts of complications, right? Does your bot handle all of that, right? There are very few bots that talk to lots of different platforms, okay? You've got, Mix It Up, which will do YouTube and Twitch and Kick and Valora. And I think they just added a platform in preview yesterday as I'm recording this. You've got Streamer.bot, which is an amazing bot. Also, highly recommend. It's that runs the same thing. It talks to YouTube, talks to Twitch, talks to Kick. But it's just, what if you want to try something else? If you want to try Valora, I only found out about Valora because Mix It Up added support for it. I thought, oh, you know what? This is actually sort of an interesting platform. Since for me, all I have to do is flip a switch over in Beam and I can stream there. It's like, let's give it a shot. Let's see what it's doing. It's the Wild West out there, man. Now, speaking of Wild West, though, that was one of the other comments I saw was, if you want the Wild West, you're going to get the Wild West. Once the Wild West starts to go away, you end up with more structure and more. It becomes less wild, really. You move out of Dodge City and you move into Kansas City. Okay, right? It's just, you're no longer dealing with shootouts at the OK Corral. You're dealing with traffic in downtown Phoenix, right? I mean, it's just, or Tucson, or whatever. As things change, right? As you get more structure, all of that stuff that you got away with, sort of. And I don't necessarily mean that in a negative connotation. Oh, we got away with doing all of these sketchy things. It's just like we were making it up as we went. Well, that time starts to fade as the Wild West goes away. Once you start leaving the frontier, things get more civilized, right? For all the good and ill that comes with that. So yeah, I've been thinking about this, and it's like, do we really want to deal with a situation where we're in a monopoly, right? If Twitch were truly a monopoly, and they're definitely not, Twitch maybe has a third of live stream viewers, and that's definitely not the power player that they used to be, but they still have the mind share, right? YouTube is the 18 trillion pound gorilla, right? Most live streaming happens on YouTube. Gaming live streaming is a fraction of it, maybe 10 to 15%, I think I saw on streamer charts the other day. It's big, and I think YouTube is bigger than Twitch when it comes to gaming these days, but not by much. Actually, I'll take that back. I think they're bigger purely on gaming because Twitch isn't just gaming, right? Twitch has some amazing DJ streams and music and art and probably a bunch of other things that I don't watch, right? I know people do crafting streams and other things on Twitch that are, it's amazing that they're doing that there. But that's obviously cuts down the amount of gaming, but that's what's there. It's a much smaller portion. Twitch is primarily thought of as a gaming platform, but it's still struggling to be third, maybe at this point, even though most game streamers, heck, and I think most viewers still think of it as being the place to go for gaming. Whether it is or not is still questionable. Okay, we could ask whether, or debate whether or not it truly is the place to go, but what do you do as a viewer, right? And I'll be honest, YouTube sucks as a viewer. Okay, if you just want to browse gaming streams, like if I want to find live gaming streams of Minecraft or Terraria or whatever, it's strangely difficult to do that on YouTube, right? Kick is a little bit better about that, because Kick basically just copied everything Twitch was doing. All right, most platforms that are targeted specifically at gaming really are easier to browse. Okay, but again, it's, do I want to bounce around between platforms? There have definitely been times I've been on Twitch. I was watching a streamer, they ended. Oh, they raided over to somebody, that's fine. But I never noticed that another streamer I really like was live on YouTube. You miss it when you start having to split to different platforms. So for a viewer, yes, I think they really do want a monopoly, right? And honestly, you see this even outside the live streamer space. You see it on on video streamers, right? If you want to sit here and say, okay, I want to watch The Office or Friends or Stargate SG-1, where do you go to watch it? Okay, is it on Netflix? Is it on Paramount Plus, right? Is it only available with ads on Pluto, right? where do you go? Now, a lot of people have gotten more savvy, and they start rotating their streaming platforms. Like, okay, I'll subscribe to YouTube to Disney Plus maybe for 2 months so I can watch the series. We'll cancel that, and now we'll watch sign up for HBO Max so we can watch this show for the next couple of months, or I can catch up on what I missed. All right, cool. Now cancel that. Let's jump over to Apple TV, or Apple Plus, whatever they're calling themselves, and now let's watch those things, right? But if you just want a platform where you can just see all of your stuff, yeah, that's sort of gone. So yeah, it is really interesting as you look at the live streaming creator space. It is just weird. You definitely see it though. Viewers don't want to have to jump around to watch all of their different streamers, which is why multi-streaming is so huge. Why so many streamers feel like they have to multi-stream, because their audience is not going to follow them. At least a lot of it will, right? Some of their diehard fans will follow them, right? If somebody like, I'm not saying they would, but say if somebody like Tango Tech, who streams on Twitch all the time, if you decide, you know what, Twitch isn't for me, I'm going to go stream off of YouTube, yeah, a lot of his viewers would come, not all of them. And is that a problem? Maybe. Maybe not, because the revenue cuts are better on YouTube, so maybe it won't matter, right? But it's a thing. It's really confusing and fun and exciting and messy, and I love all of this stuff. But yeah, it does make you wonder. It does make you wonder. So anyway, let me know what your thoughts are, and hopefully we can sort of figure things out. I'm in a space where I love the diversity of channels. I love seeing what happens. Twitch, the only reason Twitch has channel points is because of Mixer. Because Mixer had their Ember and Spark system with the mix play board, where a streamer could set up a thing where you take your Embers or your Sparks and you can hit a button and things would happen. And it was amazing. And Twitch said, yeah, let's put in a much more restricted version of that. And now you have the channel points. And now you have channel points powered by bits as well. Or not, they're not channel points powered by bits, but you have the same system where you can use bits instead of channel points, right? Yeah, all of that came over to Twitch. And Kick has channel points now, and everyone now has this channel point system where you can do things with your points. Competition does that. That's amazing. But you still have, again, that weird diversity. So let me know. Let me know what you think. Do you just like to stick with one platform? Do you jump around to watch streamers wherever they are? I am really curious to see what your take is. And hopefully we'll stick around. The Music Free Tech podcast is a podcast focused on streaming and tech, somewhat irregularly scheduled. So don't expect it like every week or every other week. It's whenever there's a topic I feel like I want to go in depth on, that's when it will come out. So be sure to subscribe on YouTube so you can see these things when they come out, turn on notifications or whatever. And until next time, be excellent to each other. And this is Music Free Tech signing off.